Hello viewers, Super GT here, finally back with another karting video. It's been a long time. I am at Buckmore Park, as you can see, on the main straight. Now, I haven't done a karting video since 2022. We're going to be driving senior Rotax today. In fact, let's go and have a look at the kart. Here it is, yes, a senior Rotax. Thank you to Clark Motorsport for providing the kart. Let's head out for the first session. And the circuit is Buckmore Park. This is a track that I grew up at. I've driven many laps here, so it's always good to be back at this circuit. Senior Rotax, Buckmore Park, spinner after 3 seconds, which is always cool. Now, as you can see, and probably tell by the tyres and the condition of the circuit, it is rather wet. Not completely doused in water, but definitely somewhat wet, as you can see with the flag there, the yellow and red stripes. And this is our first session. Now, this first session was always going to be a rather chaotic one, jumping out with a big pack here. And I think we can categorise this early session as very messy and busy. I think that's the best way to summarise it, but that's always good. Kind of get a gauge and get a feel for the kart and who's there on the day. You kind of turn up to these days, you're not really sure who's who, and you're not really sure who's the fastest or whatever. And so we're just trying to work those things out in this early session and just work out the levels of grip, which obviously aren't the greatest. We're trying to judge our tyres as well, as we get very close to some contact there with the number 40 to keep it on the circuit. Now, I want to say, I'm sure many of you have been waiting for some karting content, in which case, thank you so much. You know, we're going to try and make more this year. Please do let me know your thoughts on that, of course, as 2023, I think, was a slow year for karting content on this channel, which has been something that I've always enjoyed posting. So if you'd like to see more, please do let me know. And we could try to enter some races, which they do now at Buckmore Park, which will always be really good. He's here up behind a rather large group, and this is kind of what happens in these karting sessions, just big clusters of karts. You have to try and really fight your way through quite quickly. Some karts getting caught up there with a spinner. I think that was sort of 3 overtakes in about 1 second. It's kind of just par for the course, really. Just trying to judge these lines coming down the hill. A lot of understeer. Dive up the inside, get that move done, and then try to get that deep line to cut back. Bit of contact there, riding the contact over the excess tarmac on the left hand side. So you can see, very busy, lots of work to do, lots of karts around. It's always really good fun to join in with these sessions, taking sort of outside lines through a lot of the turns. Now, we do have wet tyres on. They're not brand new wets, and therefore you don't have infinite amounts of grip, but it is quite impressive how much water they do disperse, and therefore you can actually drive pretty darn quick on these wets in these kind of conditions. So through hairpin 2, just getting pinched there with the kart on the apex, and that's kind of one of the tactics you use to overtake. You kind of just throw the kart up the inside, park it on the apex, and the kart taking the wider line can't really switch back on you. And that's exactly what that guy did there, so quite clever overtaking. So we're going to bring the kart home after that first session. Good to get back out in the car once again, of course, and get a feel for it. For the second session, I decided, you know what, let's go out from the very front, as you can see, and see if we can command a pace and see what our pace level is at. And as you can see, after the first lap, still at the front, a couple of laps later, just beginning to edge clear off the pack behind. And I felt like, okay, you know what, our pace level is pretty decent here. And it is quite dependent on the level of grip that everyone else has with the tyres that they've chosen. Often you're not going to go on brand new tyres on these kind of sessions. You're kind of just going to use some old tyres that have been raced already. And therefore everyone's on varying levels of rubber, and that really does determine your pace. So it's hard to tell exactly who's genuinely quick on pure ability. But having not been overtaken in this one, you think, okay, well, I'm driving okay, I think. My tyres are somewhat okay. Catching up to some back markers here, given that we went out at the front of the pack. So this was a rather pleasing session. Going out at the front, just testing yourself in a different way. Sometimes it is quite a good thing to do. It's really easy to kind of just go out at the back and like not really want to have the pressure of being the leader of the pack. But sometimes I think this is a really good idea to do this. Just really think about, you know what, I'm just going to try and push, get some good laps, not think too much about the kart behind me, or the karts behind me. And that session ended pretty well. Remained at the front, if anything, began to pull even further clear. So session 2 was a very successful one. I went out at the front, thought I'd see what the pace was like. It's quick, no one went past me, stayed at the front. We'll go again, we'll go from the front again, that was really good. And here we go, session number 3. Now, we touched upon the tyres and the level of grip that we have, and I think that this one kind of showed that I was just beginning to have some deteriorating tyres. That's going to be my excuse anyway. We do have to whip out the racing driver excuse book from time to time, and that's exactly what I've done. Overtaking here, number 73. 46 goes through, going to try to cut back on the exit, not quite going to work. And I think the things you begin to notice, I think my rear tyres were really a little bit worn here. Now obviously I could just say the only people are overtaking me because they got better tyres, but no, there's some very quick drivers here, and so it's always going to be sort of a bit of a mix. And a lot of the drivers here are actually some drivers who have been here many years, and it's never easy to keep up with these kind of guys. And number 98 goes through, and this guy was really rather quick as well, and just tried to keep up with him the best I could as he went past. Heading down the hill, he took some really nice lines, really being quite proactive with the overtakes, and that's exactly what you have to be. I'll do my best to keep up, but sometimes you just know, okay, well, I'm fighting a losing battle here. I'm driving the best I can drive, which is a good sign, but the other cars began to pull away. So that was a bit of a more negative session, so it was time to change the rubber.
Hey guys, we've got some fresh rubber on the car, not brand new, but a lot better. So we're going to have a lot more grip this time around.
And there we are, newer tyres, not brand new, but better than previously. Now this session was really fun. When you head out onto the track with much better tyres, it really feels so good. Now initially, it didn't feel good because I had an issue with the fuel tank. Something was leaking or a bit loose. So I brought the car in, we managed to fix it so it wasn't leaking anymore. And I'm gonna just let you admire this session. It was such a fun one, and probably my favourite session of the entire day, or one of. The one after was also very good. So my mechanic there asking people to move aside so that we can get back onto the track. So enjoy this as we go on a very aggressive drive, trying to push through as many cars as possible. Okay, we're going to jump into the next stint, and this one was incredibly fun as well. Now, the previous one, I'm sure you'll agree, was really great to watch. Lots of aggressive overtakes, really on the front foot. This one was also very fun for slightly different reasons. We're going to have two really good battles in this one. First off, with Will Barnes, number 37, the kart in front, and we're going to have another driver overtake us and have a really good fight for the rest of the stint. Now, something again that we said earlier is about the tyre life, and therefore during one of these practice days it's not always going to be possible to have a direct battle with someone for the entirety of a stint or a practice session, because everyone's got such varying levels of grip. And so this was quite a rare occasion, I think, where on a practice day you actually have a direct battle, a close one with someone for the entirety of the stint. Now, this first battle here with Will Barnes was really good, quite a fun one as we head down the hill, really getting over that curb, which is really important. You have to kind of turn in a lot earlier than you think to get over that, because if you turn in on the rubber, on the normal dry line, you kind of just don't get the grip that you really would want. And you see there a bit of an issue with the steering, a bit of a moment, and that's kind of normal on this opening lap. The tyres aren't fully up to temperature just yet. So I seem to have the supremacy here in this battle. I'm definitely pushing on here, looking for this move, and there it is, up the inside, cutting off his exit. As we head into hairpin number 1, braking off of the rubber, and he's going to come in for a massive dive bomb, but only proceed to send himself to the shadow realm. But it's a very fair attempt. You've got to say, good attempt, good try, but maybe next time. Now, number 7 goes through, and this is the battle that I was referring to just a moment ago, that we're going to have a really, really close fight for the entirety of the stint. And it was really good to be tested in this way, to try to keep up with someone and just see if I could reel them back in and keep with them. So when someone goes through on the practice sessions, you normally assume, right, okay, this guy seems quick, can we keep up with them? Who are they? I don't know who they are. Let's just try and see what's what. And initially here, just beginning to pull a little bit clear there, getting slightly better exits, just a tiny bit, just enough to put me out of overtaking range, as you can see. And through turn 1, a little bit closer on the brakes, but then he just pulls away slightly on the exit. That's kind of normal, given the gap that we have. Trying to take some different lines here. So you can see the interpretations of what line to take are very interesting, going quite deep into hairpin 2, cutting back to get the straighter exit, coming down the hill again, both of us really making the most of that curb on the right hand side. And the compliance that these karts have is quite amazing. You really can launch them over curbs, as long as it's legal, of course, which in this case it was. Up the inside into Garda, the move was there, so I might as well go for it. And just a bit of oversteer on the exit of Senna, the left-hander there, which is going to give him the invitation and the drive to get back into the lead of this little battle. So good fighting between the two of us, going quite deep here, cutting back again for that later line, getting the drive out of the corner. The spinner there, moving aside for the pair of us, so a really good fight here, trying to keep up with each other, trying to overtake each other, but also trying to get past some slower karts as well, which is always good fun. And as much as I wanted this session, this entire day, to be dry, for some physical testing, it is very fun in the rain, and I will try and do more. Now with my upcoming car racing season, this was the primary reason why I was here, just for a bit of a run out in a racing machine, for a bit of physical testing, as I said, in the dry. That would definitely help out a lot more, but in the wet you don't really get tested too much in terms of physicality. But that's not going to be too much of a worry. Maybe we'll have to do another test day later in the year when it's a bit more dry, because Buckmore Park is absolutely savage in a senior Rotax, especially if you're doing 2 days back to back. Incredibly difficult physically, so keeping up there. But you can see here on the final lap, just managed to edge slightly clear and ultimately win our little battle here. So a good fight there between the two of us, quite well matched for the entirety of that stint. Bringing the kart back into the pit lane, of course. Now you can see a bit of time progressed here, and the rain began to come down once again, so I had to disappear into the van to change into the beautiful plastic suit.
Right, here we go.
As we put our kart back onto the grid for the final session of the day in the plastic condom suit. Let's see what we can do here, as we have to judge the conditions kind of fresh here, because it's rained a lot more since the previous session, so we're not sure exactly what the grip levels are like. In fact, you're never sure what the grip levels are like. Every session is slightly different. All the factors are slightly different. The grip levels, the temperature, the grip on your tyres. There's so many things that can change and will change, and so you have to kind of just judge it every time for yourself. And it's always good practice to do that in these sessions. As we kind of led from the front on this one, we did get overtaken right at the beginning, but getting the old switcheroo done. Looking for this line here, really committing over that. I mean, 2 wheels on the grass pretty much as we head down the hill, going deep, really getting that understeer. You see there's a lot of understeer that you have to wait for the kart to sort of bite and the steering to actually eventually get there. So a really fun session here, a really good day at Buckmore Park, as once again we're being hunted down by the number 7 just behind, trying to do our best to stay in the front of this battle this time around. Heading into Kart once again, going deep, cutting back for that later line. And as the day went on, I managed to kind of take a narrower and narrower line just to minimise travel distance around the circuit. As long as you can make it around, as long as you can make it with minimal travel. I mean, the more minimal travel you can do, the better. But sometimes you do just need the drive. But that was a pretty good session to round out the day, and we bring the kart back home for the final time.
Thank you to Wayne Clark for the day in the kart. His page is linked in the description. But yeah, great day today, guys. I want to do more karting. Let me know your thoughts. I will try and do some racing if I can, if I get time. But yeah, big plans for this year in terms of car racing. Can't announce it right now, but we'll see very soon. But thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time.